Hey, what's up guys? It's Pedro here from NoobCoder.com, and in this tutorial I want to talk about arrays. Now, what is an array? An array is a data structure that can hold multiples of a certain type. So instead of declaring four different variable ints, I can store all four of those inside an array. So for example, this is a basic diagram of what an array is. And I'm going to go through each of these statements here. So this statement right here is I'm basically declaring an array. So I'm saying int followed by this brackets x equal sign new int and then the size of the array. So in this case it's 4. And you can see by our diagram, we have 4 slots. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now our array positions, these are called indexes. So this is index 0, index 1, 2, 3. And then you could tell that we count at 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3, that is 4 elements. So new int and then the size of the array. So this will give us 4. Now this next statement is called x sub 0 is assigned a value of 1. So what do I mean by x sub 0? So I'm just saying x at index 0 is assigned 1. So let's go to index 0, which is here, and we're assigning the value of 1. And likewise, you can see in our next line, x sub 1 is assigned a value of 2. So we look at our array, we go to index 1, we assign it the value of 2. So let's head over to Eclipse and actually let's take a look at this in action. So this is actually the code that we had in our previous diagram. So I already explained these 3 lines, and just to reiterate real quick, I'm declaring an array of ints, and the size of the array is of size 4. And this line is saying at index 0, I'm assigning the value of 1. And at index 1, I'm assigning the value of 2. And I can actually print these 2 values out onto the console. And you see we get 1 and 2. But what happens if I want to print out everything that's in our array? Right now there's only 2 values, so let's remedy that and add 2 more. So now we have index 0, 1, 2, 3, so we have all 4 positions assigned a value. And now I could copy and paste these. So I have 2, 3. Okay, so this should not have been a surprise to you. So we get 1, 2, 1, 2, and these are all our indexes. But what if I could get rid of all these print statements? And you're probably wondering how. Well, we already know when we want to print out something repetitively, we use a loop. So I could say for int I, and remember, arrays start at index 0, so I'm going to start at 0. And now I'm going to say, well, I is less than. Now we need a way to find out what is the length of an array. And what I mean by length, how many elements can this array hold? Now, this is going to be new to you, but I'm going to say x dot length. Now, this is a property of an array. And actually, before I get to this, let me comment this out. And do a sysout, and I could actually print out what x.length is. Now x.length is going to be 4. So why is it 4? Because that's the size of the array we declared. So if I comment this out, highlight this, control backslash to uncomment it, semicolon I++. So now what we can do is actually go through our array. So I could say x sub I. Now I is going to start at position 0. Then I is going to check, hey, is I less than the length? That's going to evaluate the true, execute this code within these braces, and then increment. When I is 1 less than x.length? Yes. Execute this code, increment, and etc. So you see that we're printing out x sub 0 first, then x sub 1, then x sub 2, then x sub 3. And you should see we get the same exact output as if we were to just print 4 of these out at a time. So one more thing I want to cover about arrays is that there is another syntax that we can use, and we can initialize the array when we create it. And the way that we could do that is simply by these brackets. So I could just say 1, 2, 1, 2. Add a semicolon in that statement, Control S to save, run it. And you see that we get the same exact result. So this is shorthand. This is not as useful as you would think it is, and only because usually you do not know what data you need to store beforehand. So this is good for an example, but realistically you might not see this too often. But it's good to know. And if I actually uncomment this out, Control \, you see that we get the same thing for length. So if I run this, you can see that the length of the array is 4, and that's because we created it with 4. So that is pretty much how we create arrays, how we can use a loop to display what's in an array, how to assign values to an array. So that's pretty much it, and I hope you learned something, and I hope to see you in the next tutorial. Like, comment, subscribe.